Qapla, everybody. Good morning. I know it's very early morning here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had audio problems. Too early to put in earphones. Anyway, guys, this is not going to be a long stream, but I wanted to talk. Obviously, I woke up about 20 minutes after Star Trek Picard officially premiered at 3:01 a.m. Eastern. I watched it, and I turned onto YouTube, and I saw Anti-Trekker was live, so I went over there, and of course, there were a number of people there talking. So I waited, I talked, I spoke, I said what I thought before I heard anybody's reaction. I did not want it to be tainted. Because, if I think it would appear that I've liked it more than anybody else so far. But I wanted to do this stream to keep myself honest. I did not want my opinions to change as I watched Anti-Trekker's stream from the beginning, and I watched Nerdrotic's stream from the beginning. I see he streamed even before his stream was over. Before I have not yet watched his, and as I hear Midnight's Edge, and it looked like a starry-eyed girl came into Anti-Trekker stream angry, so I think I probably disagree with the majority of the people out there. I thought it was an excellent first episode. I honestly did. Now it's not the Star Trek. We remember it. It doesn't feel anything like Emissary or a good thing. It doesn't feel like Encounter at Farpoint, because that was just crap. But it doesn't feel like a Star Trek series like we've ever gotten before, and that includes Discovery. It was far better than Discovery's first episode. Now, I rounded it to a 9, but in all honesty, I was thinking 8.5. 8.5 out of 10 for this first episode. The problem is looking forward as to what is coming for the rest of the season. It doesn't look good. I think it's going to nosedive. I hope it doesn't. But you have to understand, this episode was 80% Patrick Stewart, easily. He was the focus. Every scene, he was the main focus, except I think 2 short scenes. One where Daj was calling her mother, who somehow knew she went to Picard, and I'm kind of confused by that. That's my biggest question. And also, I guess a flashback scene. But other than that, Patrick Stewart commanded this episode, and Patrick Stewart is still a great actor, and he has a tremendous goodwill from me, and I'm sure from most Star Trek fans. Now, granted, what he said in recent weeks, politically, yes, it soured me a bit. But listen, it's Jean-Luc Picard back on screen. They gave us the Enterprise D from the very first frame of this first episode. We see the Enterprise D. It starts off in the dream sequence. I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but there's a couple of spoilers are going to fall through. They're not. I think most people here, if you're listening to this literally 2 hours after the episode went live, you probably don't care too much about spoilers. Just seeing Patrick Stewart on screen again, I love the fact that they canonized the fact. Well, listen, it's something they should have done. They owed it to us. But I'm happy that they canonized, reconfirmed that Worf looks like Worf. Now, Worf, of course, wasn't in this episode, but they had a screenshot as the Federation News Network which is one of the funniest things to me. But the Federation News Network, which is CNN gotcha journalism. Gotcha journalism is still a thing in the 24th century. I mean, like, honestly, if you wanted to, I don't know if they thought that they were being, I don't know if they thought that they were promoting journalism or they were, because it was incredibly insulting to a journalist, how they portrayed the future Federation journalists in this episode. I mean, to me, it was like, wow, if they wanted to say journalists are scum of the earth, they couldn't have done a better job. So I was kind of surprised. I was kind of shocked that they would be so, treating journalism so terribly when they clearly had left-leaning agenda, which they told us. I mean, there was no secret that there was a left-leaning agenda here. But then they go ahead and they treat journalists like they are the scum of the earth and that they are liars. And they're going to use cheap tricks to they're going to tell people one thing, lie to them, go off script when it was always their plan to do so. And I was like, wow, so they're actually being pretty damn honest. So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you can't predict. Like, they were being like this was going to be, pro one side, and then they come in here and they're honest. And I was like, well, I can't fault them for that, because that's exactly what journalists would do today. And so they're still doing that. That was upsetting. I was also a little upset, not upset at the show, just upset for our future, in that, it's not looking perfect. The other thing I really didn't like was graffiti. They had graffiti still in the future, and I didn't like that. Like, why is there still graffiti on Earth, on Paradise? But let me get to some of the chat, and I'll talk some more. Maybe we'll go into some more spoilers. Thomas Potts was first. Welcome, Thomas. And I'm not going to read every single one. I'm sorry. Sci-Fi Nation says, son of a bitch, I was going to go live. Don't worry, Sci-Fi Nation. It's not going to be a terribly long stream. Darth Revan tells me to go to bed. Darth Revan, I'm awake. I went to bed at 8:30 p.m. about last night, 9 p.m. So I got up at 3:20, and I'm good to go for the day. I've got to work on my review, which is going to take some time. Darth Revan says, it's okay, we can wait a while for your reviews. Well, I wanted to speak. I wanted to, I had to come on. Even if we only have 13 people here, I had to do it. Rambling Canuck says, hello, Berta All. Welcome, Rambling Canuck. Dan23 says, it's 9:53 a.m. in the UK. Marlena says, why did you set the logo on fire? Honestly, I made most of the thing last night, and I was expecting I was not going to like the episode. So I'd set the logo on fire. But I will change. All I was typing in was the title of the episode, which I think I already typoed the name because I was in a rush to get the thumbnail out. But I will, well, listen, this video is not going to stay live. So when I do the actual review, we will have a proper thumbnail and it won't be a rush job. Yeah. Mike Richards says, well, greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Greetings, Mike Richards. Stromore says, greetings, well, pray, fellow nerds. Greetings, Stromore. Dan23 liked the intro music. I'm shocked. Nobody says they like my music. Now, it's not that it's mine, not that I created it, but that I picked it. Sci-Fi says, I can co-host that. So thank you, Sci-Fi, but I will be busy doing my review, which is going to take hours. It's just the way it works. Thomas Potts says, what is happening? I'm confused. Yes, it's very early. Crow says, bwahaha, this is not normal. No, it is not. Marlena says, Qapla, Marlena. And Shomore says, greetings to Sassy, chaser of Romulans, eater of Pakleds, stalker of Andorians, defiler of Vulcans, and scourge of Cardassia. Yes. Speaking of Romulans, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And I was happy they did. Okay, so for those who don't know, slight spoiler, and it's not really a spoiler because they showed it it's not a spoiler. They showed it in the trailer. The very end scene of this episode, they were zooming out, and you can tell you weren't supposed to know they were on a Borg cube. So it zooms out, and you see it's a Borg cube. But in the trailer, the Borg cube had a blue force field. So like, oh, blue, that's Federation. But then we learned later that it was a Romulan Borg cube. So they did indeed update somebody, whoever put in that initial graphic. I don't know if they changed it or they didn't know what the hell they were doing, but they did update the color of the force field from blue to green. So it looks more Romulan. It is now looks like what a Romulan force field should look like. The fact that it was a blue force field was confusing. I don't know if it was intentional. I suspect it wasn't. But for those who are curious, the blue force field on the cube has turned back to green. Dan23, we didn't start the fire. J.J. Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, Kathleen Kennedy. Chrono says long streams. No. Sci-Fi Ninja Bitter Prey, you're locked in now to co-host with me. Just saying. I'm sorry, Sci-Fi. Chrono says, oh shit, Picard is liked by only by Bird. No, I didn't say only. Anti-Trigger, what did he give it? A 6 or 7? 7. Midnight's Edge gave it a 5. I honestly don't know what Nerdrotic gave it, but I'm assuming it's probably at best a 5. We'll see. Honestly, I loved it, and this is it. This one episode was all Patrick Stewart. Okay? And a lot of it is what I imagined. And from the comic books, we do know that Laris and I forget the other Romulan's name. That they were living with Picard for quite a long time now. We see them first come to Picard. We know they tell us in this episode early on that they've been there 10 years. I mean, it is ridiculous. Anti-Trigger called them slaves, and for all practical purposes, they kind of look like they were modern day indentured servants. I mean, why should they have to work? They basically calling Picard, I was waiting for the Romulan guy to call him master. Like really? Why should they be forever indebted to Picard for doing his duty? Granted, he saved their lives, but Picard has saved a ton of lives over the years. Everybody whose life they save don't become his personal servants. I mean, they become basically his servants. I don't think Picard could live alone. Picard couldn't live alone in that giant house. Excuse me. Picard couldn't live alone in that giant house with just the dog and do what he does. He needed help. I mean, he needed help tying his tie. He needs help getting up and getting out of bed. Probably cooking. I don't think the man could cook. He's quite old. And okay, he's a role replicator. Fine. But still, he needs help. And so it's very lucky he has these two younger Romulans. They're not young. I mean, I'd say they're, for Romulans, I'd say they're probably, just about middle-aged. Because Romulans should live, 200 plus years. Or at least 150. So I'd say early middle-aged Romulans. And they're basically his servants. They are. It's not right. I mean, it's crazy. Of course, if you read the Countdown comic, they had a vineyard. So they were winemakers on a Uyat Beta colony. So I understand that they came from one vineyard. And so what would they want to do once their home was destroyed? They would probably want to live on another vineyard. So it works out for them, but still, the way they're not partners. It's not that Picard took them on as partners. There is a very obvious, owner slave, boss employee relationship. They are clearly being subservient to Picard, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's great for Picard, but it doesn't seem the way that future humans should be existing. It feels wrong. It feels a bit dirty to come home and yes, these are my Romulan servants. I saved their lives, so now they do everything I say. Pick up number one's poop, Paris. Really, and but listen, I love the dog. It's not Porthos. It's not a beagle like Porthos, like from Enterprise, but it's okay. It's nice to have a dog on Star Trek again, even if I doubt number one will be there the entire episode, the entire season. Let's see. What were the biggest things? Okay, so the biggest things that got me, and I got to disagree with Anti-Trekker. He's saying that they retconned the Romulan supernova. Yes and no. They retconned the star that exploded, because in Star Trek 2009, it was the Hobus star, which is not, and this was a mistake I had made originally, and somebody corrected me on it. So yeah, it was not the Romulan star that was exploding. Now the Romulan star is, of course, the star that Romulus itself orbits, which would be like our sun. But it wouldn't be the Romulan star that's exploding. It's the Hobus star. And the Hobus star is some distance, several light years away from Romulus. And this is not your standard supernova, because your standard supernova would only destroy the system it was in, and maybe it would affect a neighboring system. It wouldn't destroy any great section of the galaxy. But this Hobus star was like a 1 in a bajillion supernova that was going to have a subspace shockwave that was going to go far beyond the system. It was going to go across a significant part of Romulan space and possibly even edge into some Federation space. And included in that Romulan space was the systems of the Romulan homeworld. Romulus and Remus were going to be destroyed, but it was not its central star. So what they retconned in this episode, and it could have just been that the reporter was an idiot, and I say idiot, but reporters are good at reporting, perhaps. It doesn't mean that they're geography majors. And so she said, the Romulus star went over. She could have just been oversimplifying it for her, dumbed down CNN audience. Or she could really not know the difference, because she probably was 10 years old when this thing happened. But she called it the Romulus star. It should be the Hobus star. Now, Anti-Trekker is saying, well, they retconned it to being just a regular supernova. And while that, I understand why he says that, because in the news interview, it was established that 900 million people were in danger of the supernova. Now that's not even a billion people. Earth has 7 billion people right now. So, what's 900 million? It would really make me think that there aren't all that many people on Romulus. When I think of Romulus, I have to imagine, it's got to be close to Earth. So even if it doesn't have 7 billion, even if Earth's population stays steady, right? And because it's projected to increase. But even if Earth's population is only 7 billion come the time, the 24th century, you figure Romulus has got to be, 3, 4, 5 billion people on that one world alone. And then there's Remus, with God knows how many remans, but again, it's an entire planet. I mean, we're talking billions here, not millions. And then there's hundreds of other worlds. So, granted, colonies can be 10,000, 20,000 people, but I mean, the Romulans were a massive interstellar empire. To say only 900 million people are being affected, I honestly think they lowered that number because I think it was supposed to be something closer to 90 billion people, and I don't know why would they change from 90 billion to 900 million? 900 million, honestly, for 24th century tech, it doesn't sound like all that many people. It sounds like they probably could have got them out without having to build an entire task force of other ships. But if it was only 900 million, I mean, honestly, 900 million shouldn't even come close to being just Romulus. So I understand why Anti-Trekker says it was only the Romulan star system, because it was only supposed to be 900 million casualties. But the Countdown comic, which again I have to say, they screaming and tell us the Countdown comic for the Star Trek Picard Countdown comic is supposed to be canon. And in the Star Trek Picard Countdown comic, it is still a massive supernova that is going to the edge of Romulan space. And the entire point, and I have to say, because Laris and her boyfriend are living with Picard, they were on Uyat Beta, which was at the far edge of Romulan space. So for their homeworld to have been destroyed, that still needed to be a pretty massive supernova. So I don't think you can say they retconned it. They may have moved it. They may have moved it from the Hobus star to the Romulan sun, but I can't say it's fully retconned. It's just it's inconsistent. We have a big inconsistency here. The number of people killed or potentially killed by the supernova is very inconsistent. And I think that is the biggest problem with Star Trek Picard. And to be honest, that's not a terrible problem because, listen, Star Trek has been inconsistent from its get-go. From the very first episodes of TOS, it's been inconsistent. There's a degree of inconsistency you've just got to be able to live with it to be a Star Trek fan. And I can live with this. I can live with this. You get it? That's from A Pale Moonlight. Yes, you get it. Because you're my audience. I know you guys get it. I can live with that. So that was inconsistent. The biggest cringe moment for me was, and again, Anti-Trekker brought this up, was when Daj jumped up an entire flight of steps, almost like 2 flights of steps. And it was terrible CGI. It was the worst CGI of the entire episode, by far. You just saw her just kind of, I don't know, I would say Mary Poppins, but it wasn't even that. It was even worse quality of Mary Poppins. You just see her, like, all of a sudden, she turns still, and she moves up, like somebody just cut the sprite out on the film, on the digital picture, and just like moved it up and shrunk it by 15%. And then she starts moving again. It was a ridiculous jump, and it should be impossible because Daj has I was going to say Spock's brain. Daj has Data's memories, and Data's abilities, but with a human body. So, human bones would break. Human bones would break at that type of jump. She doesn't have the muscles to do that. Now, I can believe she has the reflexes to do, because what she's doing is certainly possible by human standards, although it's a stretch. I mean, they are right at the edge of believability with having a small young woman beat up multiple, armed Romulan assassins, super trained Romulan assassins. Now, sure, with a synthetic brain, maybe you can say, she's the best at every martial art you've ever ever conceived could be downloaded into her brain, and maybe she could beat, you can find a way for her to escape, although she does end up dying. So it's not that she's perfect. She fought off one attack successfully that we know of, and then the second attack, though she fought off most of it, she did end up killing her. So it's not that she was perfect by any means, but the fact that she was able to fight off any attack at all, that was I could agree. I could understand it. It was at the very edge of my sense of believability. So I don't have a problem with it. I really don't have a problem with it. One more thing I want to bring up about the episode, I'll get back to comments, was Jesus, the trope at the very beginning that the black guy dies. When it gets to Daj's scene, which I believe the episode opens on, is Daj and her boyfriend. Okay, no, it doesn't open on it. It goes to it. It goes to Boston. So Daj is in Boston with her boyfriend, who's black, but also Chilean. Chilean? No, Chilean is from the Orville. Chilean, which I believe was from Star Trek Discovery, and that was also a little bit of a cringe moment. The queen who helped her build the time suit in Star Trek Discovery season 2, and also the first short track Runaway, I believe that was the same species. So this guy is a black guy, and he's there, and he's Daj's boyfriend, and 2 minutes in, the Romulans beam into their room, and the first thing they do is kill him. And I was like, oh, black guy's the first one to die. How often do we see that? So I thought that was surprising. Yes, Daj dies, but it's okay because she has a twin sister. She has a twin sister who is Daj for the rest of the series, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm sorry if you didn't know, Daj did die. Daj does die. So it proves she's not a Mary Sue. Anyway, let me just read some chats, and then I think we'll end it here, because I know Sci-Fi Nation wants to stream if he isn't already, and I need to get to work on my review. But I wanted to throw this stuff out here, so I'm honest to myself. Where are we? Yes, read the chat. Okay, I'm reading the chat. I'm going to read the chat. Don't worry, I won't go without reading the chat. Kronos is here. Cinnabon is here. Sharon Moore says, what if Tasha Yar is the mother of Data's daughter? They did have Snoo, and Data is fully functional. It would tie her to Sela Romulan. The girl doesn't look Romulan at all. Now I will grant you that we did not see her sister's ears. Her sister is on the Romulan cube, and her ears are covered by her hair. Because I was curious if we were going to see her ears, and if she was going to be Romulan, because she's on a Romulan-controlled Borg cube, which, why would there be a human there? So it is possible that the daughter was Romulan by birth, but I don't see how they could connect them. Tasha Yar clearly wasn't pregnant with Data's baby, which, yes, fully functional, I agree, but how does that happen? I just don't see how that happened. As for what they had said was it was a theory that if they could get even one atom of Data's positronic matrix, that they would be able through quantum physics, like listen, they'd be able via quantum to recreate his entire positronic brain. So I'm guessing Maddox went to where Data exploded, and using some of the best tricorders in the galaxy, was able to find a single atom or several atoms that he could trace back to Data's positronic brain. It's like finding DNA in a pile of shit. You can do it if you look hard enough. You'll find the DNA from the animal that pooped it out. I can understand in the distant future with amazing sensors that you might be able to find an atom or two, it wouldn't be an atom, but a molecule of whatever Data's positronic brain is made out of. And even though he was at ground zero of a giant explosion, somewhere in the vicinity is the material, is the matter that made him. And you find it. And I guess this all happened before the supernova. And there was plenty of time after Nemesis and before the supernova for Maddox to do this. And another thing, when Andrew says he doesn't think Picard recognized the name, I think Picard did. I just don't think there was any reason for him to react to the name. I mean, he said, Maddox, that son of a bitch. No. I mean, I think he understood that it was the same Maddox who was in Measure of a Man. I just don't think there was any reason to give a reaction to the name. Thomas says, if they went palm trees, if there weren't palm trees. Thomas, I looked at those palm trees and I was like, why? Why are they putting these palm trees here? It doesn't make sense there were palm trees in San Francisco. And you know what, Thomas, you might have just kicked it down another half a point. But yeah, I was pissed. I was pissed at the palm trees. And worse, I'm pissed because it doesn't make any reason. This is Starfleet Archives. There is no reason Starfleet Archives needed to be in San Francisco. Now, from what I've heard, that actual building is in Los Angeles today. So they filmed it in Los Angeles. So, and why not just film it, and why not say Starfleet Archives Miami, or Starfleet Archives Los Angeles, or Starfleet Archives Hawaii, right? If you're going to have palm trees, why not say that it's Starfleet Archives anywhere else but San Francisco? He doesn't need to be in San Francisco. And you didn't see him get there. So you didn't see those fancy transporters yet. You didn't see those transporters they walked through. You assume he got transported there, but you don't know how yet. We never saw any means of transportation on Earth. People just show up where they need to be. So it does kind of annoy me that they used, and yes, I know that there are, apparently for reasons I don't know yet why there are palm trees in San Francisco, but there shouldn't be. Sci-Fi Nation says Shromore Data made Leal, she failed. Yes. Marlena says this episode had to be at least okay to good. It was. I really enjoyed it. I'm afraid though that we're setting us up for a cliff. I'm afraid that because none of the new characters were in it except for the briefly the young girl who's the last remaining employee apparently of the cybernetics, the positronics division of Starfleet. Other than her, they're really the new crew, so to say, the ragtag crew. None of them were in it yet. We didn't meet Rafi Musiker. We didn't meet the captain of the new ship or the pilot of the new ship. The other 2 or 3 people, none of them were in this, and none of them have except for the scientist, have interacted with Picard at all. And so Picard was still the main character. I think it's going to change. I think it's going to be hard. The question is, will I be into this once Picard has to share the screen with 5 other people who, frankly, are probably going to be doing more of the action than he will? And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Thomas says, so there was a scene not on Earth. That is true. Picard doesn't leave Earth. But there is a scene on the Borg cube, the Romulan-controlled Borg cube. We don't know where it is, but it's in space. Marlena says, I think they thought people caught people's attention, and that's what they want. Marlena, they did. I'll be honest. I have not been more excited watching a Star Trek episode since Deep Space Nine ended. Well, a couple of Enterprise episodes. I guess I forget Enterprise. Enterprise had some good episodes. So I have not been this excited watching a Star Trek episode since Enterprise. Discovery never came close to this. Discovery never, ever came close to this. It's Jean-Luc Picard, says Kronos. Mercer says, I was surprised how much I liked the first episode of Picard. It has a lot of quiet scenes, slow build-up, and moments of introspection. Yes, it's toned down by the haywire camera work, so that that's a Discovery trademark. And the story was intriguing, particularly bringing mention of a certain character. Yes. We can talk a little bit more spoilers here, but I was very, very happy with it. The Android uses the Federation News Network was in Star Trek Generations. That's true. But I mean, what was in Star Trek Generations was like paparazzi. I mean, you had 15 people all with their own cameras and microphones, all looking at Kirk, and I get that. What we had here was like a sit-down news anchor. And honestly, I wasn't sure who that woman was, but the voice asking in the trailer, why did you leave Starfleet? That was the news reporter, the news anchor, whose voice it was. I was thinking that was a therapist he was saying, but no, it was the news reporter. Thomas says don't they have to give credit to Michael Dorn because his image was in it? I don't know the legalities of it, Thomas. I didn't look through the credits I didn't look through the credits at all, to be honest. I came on to Anti-Trekker. So I don't know. Maybe they did. I'm just not sure. Mercer says, rip Neil Peart. I'm sorry, Mercer. I don't know who Neil Peart is. Who's Neil Peart? Iron Maiden. Oh, Neil Peart. That Neil Peart. Well, I can't say I was the biggest Iron Maiden fan, but we're friends with people who were big Iron Maiden fans. So yes, rip Neil Peart. Mercer has anxiety, but he's getting over it. Well, that's like long-term anxiety or just short-term anxiety. Either way, I'm happy you're getting over it. I have long-term anxiety that is being controlled with, to be honest, with therapy and medication. Marlena says it felt like fake news network. Yeah, well, it was the Gotcha News Network. We're not going to bring up why he left Starfleet. So, Admiral, why did you leave Starfleet? Yeah, scumbag. Total scumbag journalism. Schroenworth is Sci-Fi Nation true, but he was going solo with her. With Tasha, they were a pair. Yeah, Okay, so my theory on why Daj looks like the painting that Data did is because Maddox, and I granted, the answer is literally because quantum. Maddox was able to reconstitute Data's entire positronic brain from the moment he was destroyed at Nemesis, because he was able to find a few molecules of his positronic brain. So via quantum, he got a full working copy of Data's brain. And then within Data's brain, I assume he was able to see the painting Data had painted of his daughter, and Maddox made a conscious decision to make Dahj look like what Data thought his daughter would look like. That's my explanation to why it is, and it makes perfect sense if you can accept the fact that he was able to reconstitute Data's entire brain using just a couple of molecules, which is the theory that the cyberneticist in this episode had. Okay, so it was a funny part. So when Dahj and Picard are sitting down and talking, and I was like, oh, Picard's like, oh, a young lady has come to the house, rushed up to the house, and oh, she feels comfortable with me. And then he's like, oh, what a lovely necklace. Could I see it? And she takes it off and hands it to him. I was waiting for him to say, oh, what a lovely blouse. May I see it? And then she was going to take it off and hand it to him. But obviously that didn't happen. But I thought that would have been funny. Oh, what lovely underwear you have. May I see it? Sci-Fi Nation says, Bird of Prey, read the chat. Cinnabon says they probably just cut Worf a check. Yeah, they told him they think about the Worf season. I don't think they need his permission, Cinnabon. In fact, I'm 100% sure they do not need Worf's permission or any of the previous Star Trek actors' permission to use their previous shots in their movie, in their TV show. Okay, Worf agreed to this stuff when he was an actor, because this was just a picture, a still photo they took from a Next Generation episode or a Next Generation movie. This was not they did not bring him into a photo shoot to take a picture for this picture in Picard. They just took a still they had from him, probably from a previous, obviously from a Next Generation photo shoot, publicity photo shoot, and used it. And they're completely allowed to, legally. However, they probably had to give him, $5 or something. They probably had to cut him a royalty check for use of his image. But I mean, that would have been pennies compared to if they had brought him in to do a new shoot. Once you're an actor, you don't have control. If a company wants to sell your likeness to somebody, and if you played a character in their movie and they want to license that movie to McDonald's, and we could have Worf Happy Meals, I don't think Michael Dorn has anything to say about that. That's between Paramount, Viacom now, and McDonald's. I don't think Worf has any say in it. Now, depending on his contract, he may get, 1 cent out of every Happy Meal sold, but he doesn't get to decide what image, if any, of his goes to McDonald's. Continuum Trek says Qapla. Sci-Fi Nation says Hail Karoga. Okay. Let's see. You're not a jerk. I didn't say you were a jerk, Kronos. Thomas says Sci-Fi Nation, you son of a bitch. Take that back. Take that back right now. Uh-oh. Yeah, we haven't seen Marlena in a while, although she came to stream a couple. We don't see her often. I think I stream at a bad time. Sci-Fi Nation says $300 for DJ to wear a peacock suit. All donations go to help DJ repair his home. Yes, do. If you have a few extra bucks, send that to DJ. Make sure in the comments you say it's for the Peacock Fund. And when DJ gets up to $300, we will get him a peacock suit for him to wear on a live stream. Last night he wore a rainbow unicorn suit, and he even rainbow colored his beard. So make sure you subscribe to DJ Odyssey, go to his channel, and he's going to leave it up. Watch his live stream from last night. I see DJ he put in $100 for him to wear the unicorn suit, thinking he'd never get there. But I put in the first $10 to get the ball rolling, and then within a day he had his $100. So he had to do the unicorn suit, and he did it. So good, kudos to DJ. Marlena says, Kronos, hello, my friend. I didn't have a lot of time for live streams since recently. Good to be back. Well, very glad you're back, Marlena. I hope that's a good thing. I mean, I know that there were some times in my life where I wouldn't have had time for live streams, and it was probably a better time. Dan23 says, I did see a picture of the Borg cube and a caption read Romulan. Yes, well, the caption for me read Romulan Reclamation Zone. I don't know what the hell that really means. They're reclaiming Romulus, I guess. Romulan Reclamation Zone. But yeah, that's what they called it. Gabrielle Pinto says 7.5 out of 10. Gabrielle, I'm with you. I'm at 8.5 out of 10. Thomas Bond says hashtag free the Romulan slaves. Well, they're happy slaves, Thomas. They don't want to be freed. Sci-Fi is bad. Bird of Prey is bad. He preempts me. Then he doesn't want to come on. Oh, you know what? Sci-Fi Nation, if you got Sci-Fi, if you haven't already, start your stream, please, so you can put the URL into my comments, so anybody who's here can head over to you. When I'm done, I'll come on for a few minutes, and then I'm going to start my review. But please start streaming before I end, so that you can put your link in and people can head over. Kronos says, I'm shocked you're doing a live stream at this time. I know, Kronos, but I've been awake since 3:20, and I wanted to talk. I wanted to get out what I was feeling about Star Trek Picard, and to be honest, I liked it. I'm afraid they're not going to be able to keep it up, but this one episode 1, Remembrance, it was damn near as good as I could have imagined it would have been. I wished it would have been a little different. I wish we were looking at a real, I hate to say it, a real Star Trek series, right? Where people were boldly going where no man has gone before. That is the essence of Star Trek. And that's what I really, really, really want. However, what they're giving us is not where no man has gone before. They're giving us a pretty interesting look, but it's more of the state of the Federation. It's not going to be where no man has gone before. It's going to be where details that you never knew you wanted to know before, which is fine. You know, if there's one Star Trek series that does that, I'm okay with it. But in general, I want to see where no man has gone before. This is not where no man has gone before Star Trek. This is different. That doesn't mean it's bad, but it's not the Star Trek I really, really want. That said, what I saw here held my interest. I was dare say I was excited, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. We'll see what happens. Cinnabon says he apparently never took that vacation on the Baku planet. Yeah, I guess, Picard left a lot of broken hearts. A lot of broken hearts. Maybe he found out that she took another boyfriend. Kronos says, I'm also shocked that I'm up at this time. Dan23 says, I posted a picture yesterday of the new Picard show novel. Yes, Dan, and I think you tweeted it to me as well. I looking at it's not available on Amazon until February. So I would have bought it, but it's not available until February. Thomas's lore is live. Kronos says, is Mamo Prey awake? Yes, but she doesn't want to be. She doesn't want to be.
Excuse me. I was up at 10 to 3.
Oh.
I made noise.
Mama Prey said she was awake at 10 to 3 and made noise to see if I was going to wake up.
But you didn't.
but I didn't. So she went back to sleep. I woke up about 20 minutes later. And then I watched it. And we'll watch it again. Because obviously you've heard me say now it's good. Gabrielle says Romulans live around 160 to 210 years. Yeah, so they should live pretty long. They're also supposed to be far stronger than a human, which is kind of why I'm on the fence about Daj being able to fight off 3 or more Romulans. But I can just about believe it. Chrono says beagle bites are a thing. No, beagle bites are not a thing. Free the Romulans. Free the Romulans. Dan23 puts in the sassy emojis. Free Auntie. Yes, Auntie needs to be freed. Thomas Potts. Hashtag arrest Bird of Prey 5. No, not the Hobo Star. The Hobus Star. Chrono says, wow, the Hobo Star is very different. It smells really bad. Gabrielle says, Bird of Prey, Hobus is the star. Yes. Hobus is the star that Romulus orbits. I was told specifically it was not. And Sci-Fi Nation just went live. So guys, Sci-Fi Nation is going to be putting in his link any minute if he hasn't already. So once I get to the end of the chat, I'm just going to end the stream and I'm going to head over there. So you guys should head over to Sci-Fi Nation if you want to continue the conversation. Chrono says, oh please, Mama Prey needs to speak. She did, but he means more. No, she's literally still in bed, Kronos. She's yelling so you could possibly hear her. Good morning, Zachary Gibbons. Good morning. Sci-Fi says Hobus is the star, is not the star. So Sci-Fi Nation is saying Hobus is not the star of the Romulan system. You see, that's when I looked at the map, Hobus was not the star at Romulus. Now, granted, the maps change. I mean, there has been no canon map that has been perfect. And there never can be because there are, frankly, way too many inconsistencies in Star Trek to make an accurate map. However, 2-3 months ago, when I looked at a map of Romulan space, the Hobus star was, it was within the Romulan Empire, but it clearly was many systems away from the Romulus star. Granted, maybe they've retconned the position of the Hobus star, but if they did, it's a retcon. It's not that it was like that. Kronos loves the ranting. Star Trek Online says different, so unless Picard changes it, it isn't. Zachary surprised Bird is doing a stream this early. Well, I was up early to watch the show. Kronos says, what is a supernova? That's when a mommy star and a daddy star love each other very much, and they go to bed and they wake up with a baby. No, that's a supernova is when a star explodes and a spectacular amount of energy is released. Kronos says, oh crap, I need a vacuum. You can use the toilet, Kronos. You can use Jaloja. Sci-Fi says, end of rant, Bird of Prey. Kronos says, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Mary O. Poppins. Wow. How bad were the ships, says Zachary. Well, to be honest, the very first ship you see is the Enterprise D. It's a dream. But you see the Enterprise D. Then Picard goes to what's essentially, I guess, like his own storage container inside the Federation archives. Now, inside the Federation archives, he has like his own little storage room, and so in his storage room, he has models of certain ships, including the Stargazer and the Enterprise E. But he also has the Captain Picard Day banner hanging from the ceiling. So that Captain Picard Day that they used in the trailer, that was from his storage locker in Starfleet archives. Also, just to talk about synthetic life, when they first said that they banned all synthetic life, I wasn't sure if that included holograms, because I mean, at the end of Voyager, there was actually a potential hologram war, or a hologram. The Mark I holograms were being used to do manual labor, and they were hearing stories about the Mark I hologram of Voyager and all this stuff he did, and they were gonna look like they were gonna start a move for independence of some sort. They did not want to be doing manual labor, and it was a real potential threat that holograms were going to become an issue. So I was curious if when they banned synthetic life, was that including holograms? But when Picard visited the archives, it was a hologram librarian. So no, they still had holograms. Kronos has got to watch GOTG 2 again. I don't know what that is. Cinnabon says human bones and muscles, so no way she should have been able to, yeah. She shouldn't have been any stronger than a normal human being. However, she could have been faster, right? I mean, she could have, in theory, have the reflexes and knowledge of the world's best fighter. Of the world's best martial artist. Okay? Like martial arts, supposedly, you don't need strength. You use your attacker's strength against them. Whatever the hell that means. I mean, I was not somebody who ever took karate lessons. But I believe, at least, that there are martial arts out there where a less powerful person who is well trained can beat a significantly stronger opponent. So I do believe that's possible. And yes, I'm sorry, Continuum Track, Daj does die, but as I said, she has a twin sister. So for all practical purposes, Daj is still alive. Yeah. And now I lost where we were in the comments. And Stromore says, what do you think of Herman Schmeckelback will rate this episode? I don't know. Herman Schmeckelback is a mystery. Oh, and Sci-Fi Nation is still streaming, so I really got to get through these. Lowell, classic Hollywood trope. Yeah, kill the black guy. Kill the black guy first. Racist. Well, it certainly was unexpected. Especially from people who were priding themselves on, I thought, modern liberal virtues. Tubians as well, son of a bitch. Welcome. Stromore says Sci-Fi is actually drinking coffee. I'll be there very soon, Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi says Mrs. Sci-Fi Nation is snoo food out, son of a bitch. Crown says, even if I'm crushed. Crown says, wow, it's really getting nerdy in here. Speaking of nerdy, it was the first time I ever heard the song Anti-Trekker played at the end of his stream tonight. Well done. Whoever was in on that, I think it was Piano Dean and Aberjam, or if it was only one of the two, whatever it was, fucking amazing. Amazing song. Even if it talked about blowing up Karoga, I have to give credit where credit is due. Sci-Fi isn't hardly enough for Bird of Prey. His video means more than going live with me. I'm sorry. I will go live with you for a bit, Sci-Fi Nation. I will end the stream. I will do a quick Jaloja. Yes, I am reading the comments. I'm reading the comments, but I will end the stream, do a quick Jaloja, and I will come on Sci-Fi Nation. The Sci-Fi Nation. Thomas's Bird of Prey Starfleet could already have had some of data. That's true. They could have. They could have asked for a sample or something that Geordi would have provided. Oh, speaking of Geordi, I'm kind of upset they didn't talk about Geordi. Geordi was stationed at Utopia Planitia. Now, in the short track, they said that there were over 3,000 fatalities at Utopia Planitia. In this episode, they upped that considerably. The actual number turned out to be 97,000 and change fatalities. So there was almost 100,000 people killed on the attack on Mars. So if Geordi was there that day, I'm sorry to say Geordi is dead. Now, the only reason I think Geordi might not be dead is because if he was dead and neither Picard nor the reporter brought up the fact that Geordi died, that's pretty shitty. That's pretty shitty. You know, she should have said, and you lost a good friend in the attack. Your former chief engineer, Geordi LaForge. And he would have been like, yes, you know, Geordi was a great person. We miss him tremendously and whatever. You know, they should have mentioned it. Honestly, they should have mentioned Geordi one way or the other. So I'm kind of pissed they didn't mention Geordi. Chrono says, I could poop out your videos. What? Thomas says, Starfleet could... Yeah, I read that. Dan Dwayne Drees says, in Star Trek Online, in Nemesis area was flooded with radiation. Okay, but Dan, as we've said before, Star Trek Online is not canon. If they decided that it wasn't flooded with radiation and people could go there and collect stuff from it, then that takes precedent. It just, I understand it's worth pointing out, but it's also just, it doesn't change the facts that if they want to ignore it, they're 100% able to ignore it without any effect on canon. Strom was a bird of prey. Data put his memory in B4's brain, and he is dumber than Data, so Maddox could easily have lured him. Yeah, but the problem is that B4's brain wasn't advanced, and which is exactly what I said I thought happened, was that B4 did not last long. After the transfer of Data's stuff to B4 just kind of broke down. So B4 never existed as a functioning officer. This causes a major problem with the 2009 comics, but again, it's just comics. Even though the Star Trek 2009 comics are supposed to be canon, the Countdown comics at Star Trek 2009 was supposed to be canon, there was a Captain Data in the Star Trek 2009 comics. So everybody just assumed that Captain Data came from B4. But we know that B4 just broke down. B4 never evolved. So how could there be a Captain Data in the Countdown comics? So that is a major inconsistency. However, that's an inconsistency with Star Trek 2009, so I'm not going to worry about it. Thomas's bird of prey. LA was flooded. Major earthquake. They said in Futures and Voyager. Okay. Sci-Fi's a bird of prey for having forever first on my channel. You suck. Turtis any balls for now. I'm coming on, Sci-Fi. Doomcock tweeted he was not pleased. Well, that's unfortunate for Doomcock. I was pleased. I'm not I'm on meds. Well, I'm on meds, Kronos. I am. That's no surprise. Anyway, guys, I do have to call it a morning. I will head over to Sci-Fi Nation stream very quickly. And yes, I liked it. Kronos. I was quite happy with it. I will check my DMs and I will be there. Guys, have a good night. I will see you later. And I will see you on Sci-Fi stream in 2 minutes. Qapla.